Welcome back, everyone, to the Deep Dives. This is our 115th Deep Dives, actually. And today we've got, well, quite a stack of material from the aviation world to unpack. It's not just about the planes in the sky. It's really about pulling back the curtain on the deals, the infrastructure, the innovation, everything that keeps the industry flying high. Our mission, as always, is to cut through the noise, give you those essential nuggets you need to stay informed on aviation solutions. We'll be looking at strategic engine acquisitions, literally the power source, then critical airport planning, and even how your experience as a passenger is changing. Some surprising stuff there.
Yeah, and what's really insightful, I think, is how these different pieces, they seem separate, but when you connect them, you get this vivid picture of the aviation landscape right now. We'll explore how companies are strategically managing these really high-value assets like engines, how that foundational infrastructure, the airports, is being planned out like decades ahead, and yeah, how airlines are not just growing their reach globally, but really enhancing the actual journey for you, the traveler,
Yeah,
even on a budget sometimes.
exactly. So let's unpack it all. Let's dive into the data. Okay, first big nugget, right to the heart of it, engines. We've seen a pretty significant transaction, 12 General Electric CF3410E engines. Now, these aren't just any old engines. They power specific regional jets, workhorses.
And that's exactly why this deal, BeauTech Power Systems acquiring them from Alliance Aviation Services Limited, it's not just a simple sale. When you look at the bigger picture, this move really cements BeauTech's position. They're now arguably the leading global lessor for these CF3410 engines, which kind of begs the question, why are these leasing deals so critical? They seem to act like a shock absorber for the whole ecosystem, right?
That is a great question. And it tells you a lot about airline fleet management. So for Alliance, and they're the biggest operator of the Embraer E190s in Australia, which use these engines this deal, it was about unlocking value. Surplus assets, maybe they were streamlining, maybe getting newer planes, who knows? But they got to benefit from good market conditions, favorable currency rates, and it really highlights their aviation services arm as a key performer for them. Smart move, really. Monetizing something that might just sit there otherwise.
Precisely. And look at it from BeauTech's side. This isn't just adding engines to a list. It really underscores their constant growth. Their leasing portfolio now covers CF-34s, CFM56s, LEPs. I mean, those are the big families powering so many modern jets, regional right up to single aisles. They're not just buying and holding, no. They're actively supporting airlines, supporting MROs, maintenance, repair, overhaul facilities. They call it providing dependable, high-performance asset solutions. It's more than just owning metal. It's about giving the industry flexibility, operational support. Think about it. Airlines can skip massive capital costs by leasing. They can adapt quickly if the market shifts or if they have unexpected maintenance. Keeps things moving. It's a specialized niche, sure, but absolutely fundamental to global operations. Gives airlines the agility they need.
Right, agility.
Yeah.
Efficiency and responsiveness in a business that just eats capital. Okay, so from the engines, let's move to the ground. The airports, the vital arteries, you could say. We've been looking at a really interesting report about airport infrastructure, specifically out of New Zealand.
Yeah, what really jumps out there is the NZ Airports Association. They praise the government's draft infrastructure plan, especially the focus on funding reform, transparency, good stuff. But, and this is key, they're also pushing for airports to be more explicitly included in that national planning, which makes you think, what is it about airports? What makes their approach to infrastructure so different, maybe even better than other sectors?
It's pretty remarkable, actually. The report calls airports a positive exception, an exception to what they describe as a typically short-term reactive approach elsewhere. Instead, airports consistently use a 30-year master planning cycle for everything maintenance, development. 30 years. And here's the kicker. It's not just like good internal practice. It's actually driven by the regulations. New Zealand's Civil Aviation and Commerce Acts mandate this long view. That's structured foresight. It's a huge part of why they seem to do well.
And it highlights something often missed. Airports are largely user pays. Unlike roads, maybe. Most of their funding comes directly from users, airlines paying landing fees, passengers through charges, cargo operators. So this direct funding, plus their really robust planning and consultation, it means projects aren't just abstract ideas. They're designed to actually get delivered efficiently. And it works. They were rated the best performing infrastructure sector in NZ by the Ipsos Global Infrastructure Index. That's quite an endorsement.
So what's the takeaway for you? Whether you travel or just live in the economy they connect. Well, the NZ Airports Association is really backing this call for stable policy. Because uncertainty, it just delays vital investment. They point out airports, just like energy or water systems, really suffer when the policy ground keeps shifting under them. Their current setup, they argue, is well-balanced. It delivers that long-term planning, the user pays funding, the transparency, and they're just working to make sure aviation and ports get explicitly recognized in the national infrastructure story. Because, let's face it, they're critical. Connectivity, economic resilience, it really shows how consistent long-term vision, even for something like airport concrete, can pay off, a blueprint for stability almost. Okay, so we've got the engines, we've got the ground infrastructure. Let's shift again. Let's talk about how airlines are growing their networks, Andy, improving your time on board, sometimes in ways you wouldn't expect. We've got some quite exciting news about a major Asian carrier's growth spurt.
Yeah, this next bit really opens up that whole discussion of global growth strategies, especially in fast-developing markets. We're seeing VietJet, big player in Asia, rapidly expanding into China. And I mean rapidly. This isn't just, adding one route here or there.
No, check this out. They launched Hanoi to Xi'an on July 6th, 4 round trips a week, connecting 2 really historic cities that came right after Hanoi Chengdu started July 1st. And those are just the latest. That makes 7 new routes between Vietnam and China just in 2025 for VietJet alone. That's a serious push into that market.
It absolutely is. Connect that to the bigger picture. It's a major strategic milestone for them. They now link Vietnam's main hubs, Hanoi and Ho Chi Minh City, directly to big Chinese centers, Beijing, Shanghai, Guangzhou, Chengdu, Xi'an. And it's not just China. This is part of a wider global strategy. They've already added new routes to India, Japan, Singapore this year, more planned for the second half. It clearly cements their position, one of the leading carriers in Asia Pacific now. And their whole model is affordable, but still aiming for high-quality travel. Shows a real intent to grab a big slice of that growing Asian travel market.
Right. And like you said, it's not only about getting you there anymore, it's about the journey. Even with low-cost carriers. VietJet Thailand, their Thai division, is about to seriously upgrade the passenger experience. A brand new in-flight entertainment service. For a budget airline, that's potentially a game changer.
And the tech behind it is fascinating. The new IFE, in-flight entertainment, it's powered by something called the BlueView Digital Services Platform, delivered through the Blue Box WOW system. Okay, what's that? Blue Box WOW is basically this compact, portable, wireless server that sits on the plane, like a little Wi-Fi hotspot just for streaming content. It streams movies, shows, whatever, directly to your device, your phone, your tablet. So it'll be across their 18 Airbus narrowbodies soon, and they plan to put it on their new Boeing 737MXs coming in too. The goal: keep customers happy, add value, but keep that low-cost structure. It's clever. Avoids the huge cost and weight of seatback screens.
So what does this mean for you, the passenger? Well, this BlueView platform, it's not just movies. It's designed as a whole portal, a range of digital services in the air. Think onboard shopping, browse, and buy right from your seat. Secure payments, even potentially connecting with crew apps or other passenger services. More integration. It's meant to be a digital ecosystem, really. Engage passengers, entertain them, sure. But also, crucially, open up new ways for the airline to earn ancillary revenue. That's vital for low-cost carriers. Finding income beyond just the ticket price. It turns the flight into something more dynamic, more connected.
We've really covered some ground today. Significant developments. Each one reveals another layer of this complex aviation industry. From that really precise strategic engine leasing, keeping fleets flexible, to the incredibly forward-thinking airport planning looking decades out, and then, the dynamic airline growth coupled with genuinely better passenger experiences. Put it all together, it shows a really robust, constantly evolving global industry.
Exactly. We've seen companies unlocking asset value, how critical infrastructure needs that long view and stable policy to work well, and how airlines are getting really creative, expanding reach, innovating the travel experience, even on a budget. These aren't just separate news items, they're interconnected trends. They're shaping global connectivity as we speak.
Which I think leaves us with a pretty important question for you to think about. As aviation keeps evolving so rapidly driven by both business strategy and some amazing tech innovation, what role will these often behind-the-scenes solutions, these long-term plans, what role will they play in making global travel not just faster or cheaper, but also more seamless, efficient, and maybe even more sustainable for all of us in the future?
Something to definitely mull over. Until our next deep dive. Thanks for joining us today.